Well everyone, we are in 2026 now, which is hard to believe, but that means we're going to get a slew of brand new Apple products coming down the pipeline this year with a minimum of 20 to 25 brand new pieces of hardware. Some are going to be overall refreshes and small spec bumps, but other ones are going to be brand new product categories. So without further ado, let's talk all things Apple, what to expect this year, when to expect it, what type of products, and see whether or not you should hold out for something that you absolutely need. Let's get into it. But now before we continue, if you enjoy videos like this one where we keep you up to date on all things Apple, consider subscribing to the channel and help us get to 1 million subscribers by the end of the year. But now let's talk about what to expect in the spring. So there's going to be a few big themes for Apple this year. The first one, which is going to be on the forefront of every single tech company this year, is going to be that AI is now a hardware situation more so than a software situation. So definitely see Apple kind of revamp Apple Intelligence to be a hardware first kind of feature versus just another chatbot that Apple's been trying to integrate. Again, there are rumors of Apple and Google getting together, putting Gemini into Siri, bringing in ChatGPT a little bit more, so there's a bunch of good things happening, I think, in the background, but at the end of the day, I think it's going to be all about things are going to be beneficial when you don't even know it's happening. That's the perfect situation for Apple Intelligence moving forward, at least in the Apple ecosystem. But another thing that Apple's going to focus on is going to be down market, bringing things to more people by bringing them a little bit cheaper, by still providing a lot of value. But then also there's going to be those high-end experimental type of products like the Apple Fold, maybe a new Vision Pro kind of form factor. But the first thing to look at here is going to be in early 2026, kind of the budget-friendly, smart, and strategic products that Apple's been kind of holding on to. The first one's going to be a new iPhone 17e. It's going to bring the A19 chip, Dynamic Island, going to bring that new center stage camera that's in all the new iPhones, and it's going to be positioned as the default iPhone moving forward, Apple's cheapest, Apple's most entry level, and it'll sit right in front of the iPhone 17, probably at that $599 price point. Hopefully they bring it down to $499, but let's see exactly what Apple does with the iPhone 17e. Then we're going to have a new base iPad that's due for a refresh. This is an example of a budget-friendly spec update, so we're going to get a new chip, possible Apple Intelligence support this time around, so it'll be the final kind of big piece of hardware that doesn't support Apple Intelligence that will moving forward, and then it's going to be the most important volume aspect product that Apple has from a sales standpoint. Right now you can get the A16 iPad for $299 on Amazon, still a great deal. It runs iPadOS 26. The new one is just going to be faster, more efficient, better battery life. And then the iPad Air should get another spec update. This is going to be purely a spec update to the M4 chip, nothing else, maybe an update to base storage, but that remains yet to be seen. But that's going to be the iPad Air, which is going to be another kind of pro-level value play that Apple has on the iPad lineup. But now let's get into the Macs of the world, because this is going to be the important one for Apple, especially like I said in the very beginning, they're trying to kind of get downstream in terms of cost prohibition when it comes to their MacBooks. Because right now, yes, you can get a MacBook Air, the M4 one, for $750 from Amazon, maybe $799 depending on when you're watching this, but the retail price is still $899 or $999 depending on when you get it or whether you get it from the education store. Apple wants to have an MSRP product that's around the $699 price point, so it's going to be a low-cost MacBook. This is going to be an A series iPhone chip that's going to be powering this. It's going to be a bunch of fun different colors, as you guys have seen with the lower level iPads. They come in the most amount of kind of bright and abundance colors. And I do believe this is going to be Apple's kind of like netbook, their low cost MacBook at $599 or $699. I mean, imagine kind of that 12-inch MacBook form factor that we had a few years ago, which everybody wants to bring back. Probably just one USB-C or Thunderbolt port with the addition of MagSafe on there and a headphone jack. It's going to be small, it's going to be compact, it's going to have a great display, and it's going to be powered probably by the A19 or A19 Pro chip, which also means maybe it'll have a C1X modem, maybe it'll be able to have some sort of data connectivity for the first time ever in a MacBook, or at least for the first time in over 2 decades. So that's the one that I'm most excited about, but I'm going to see how Apple positions this as kind of like a lower end MacBook, or maybe like kind of like a MacBook iPad hybrid. That's the one that I'm definitely most excited for from an Apple Mac standpoint. We're also going to get refreshes to the MacBook Air lineup. We're going to get the new M5 chip in there because right now the M5 chip is only available in the baseline MacBook Pro, and that's it. So we're going to be getting it in the MacBook Air, maybe a brand new color, but the same design overall and the same kind of efficiencies and battery life, just better from an AI perspective. And then of course we're going to get the performance-based updates to the MacBook Pros with an M5 Pro and possibly an M5 Max chip also to be able to kind of load up and get as much power as possible, because like I said, the only MacBook Pro right now that has the M5 chip is just a regular M5 MacBook Pro. There's no M5 Pro or M5 Max at this point. And then from an accessory standpoint, there's 2 products that are supposed to be coming out in 2026, which have been kind of rumored for a little while now. The first one is going to be an AirTags 2. We've had the AirTags for years now at this point, and they haven't changed at all, but we're going to be getting a new ultra-wideband chip, improved tracking range, and then better security updates to avoid all the kind of stalkery stuff that happened in the very beginning with the AirTags. possible better battery life, but I do believe the battery life will remain at about a year's worth of time. I will leave linked down below some other kind of battery enhancement stuff for AirTags right now, and AirTags I believe are anywhere from $60 to $70 on Amazon for the 4-pack, which to me is still a no-brainer. And then we're going to have a Studio Display 2, which I think is going to be a welcome upgrade. 120Hz ProMotion, HDR, better speakers, just better overall kind of chipset, and just made to work more efficiently overall with your Mac ecosystem. So a Studio Display is something that people have been wanting, a new revamped one, but could also mean that the Studio Display 1 will have some cost benefits coming down when you get it in the secondary market for a lot cheaper than that $1,600 starting price point. And then Apple's gonna get real serious with their HomeKit and their home and smart home setup, right? We should be getting a new Apple TV 4K with the A17 Pro chip built in there, so Apple Intelligence for the first time in there with tvOS 26. It'll be a match made in heaven. Then we should be getting a brand new product category of the HomePod, which is going to be this HomePod with a display. It's going to have a 7-inch display on it. It's going to be Apple Intelligence and Siri first. Hopefully Gemini gets integrated into there and it works amongst your Apple ecosystem, but imagine just a HomePod with a small iPad mini display as a home hub to be able to control all your different home accessories, with possibly a new Home OS type operating system that kind of imitates and mimics maybe the complications that you get from watchOS and things like that. And then as we start to trickle on throughout the year, we'll get WWDC. Apple will put the M5 chips in the Mac Mini because people love that form factor, so we'll get an M5, an M5 Pro Mac Mini, as well as a Mac Studio. We should be getting an M5 Max Mac Studio, and then maybe a new M5 Ultra chip because, again, we're still waiting for the M4 Ultra at this point. Apple might just supersede that and forego that and give us an M5 Ultra. Then September will roll around with new iPhones. I'm going to spare the details on the iPhone 18, the 18 Pro, and the 18 Pro Max because those are going to just be kind of iterative updates and we're going to have the same form factor. The fun one here is going to be a new foldable iPhone or an iPhone Ultra, whatever Apple's going to call it. This thing is going to be a book-style foldable. It's going to be a titanium frame. I do believe that's why Apple released the iPhone Air. They wanted to see the thinness of it because if you put two iPhone Airs together, you get about a 10mm thick or 11mm thick iPhone, and that could be great for a book-style foldable moving forward. I, for one, am super excited. It's rumored to be around $24.99 all the way up to $3,000 depending on what type of storage variants you get and what Apple's doing with it, but it's going to be expensive, but I do think it's going to be a welcome addition to the Apple iPhone lineup, but it's going to be a very niche device, similar to the Vision Pro. I think it'll sell better than the Vision Pro, but not nearly as well as something like a regular iPhone Pro model. And then when it comes to the wearable accessories that Apple makes, like the Apple Watch Ultra, the Apple Watch, and the AirPods, overall, the Apple Watch, we're going to get the Series 12, we're going to get the Apple Watch Ultra 4, nothing too crazy. The design is going to stay relatively the same. They might add a couple more sensors and features here, maybe Touch ID built directly into the Apple Watch would be cool, but the most important one here is going to be a new AirPods Pro 3. So it's not going to be an AirPods Pro 4, but it's going to be another version of the AirPods Pro 3, and I think the idea here is because it's going to have built-in cameras here, which is going to be very interesting in terms of how Apple's going to sell this and position this. I believe the case itself is going to have a display and a camera for a lot of Apple Intelligence type of assistant features, because right now, the best version of Apple Intelligence and Siri is in your headphones, so if you have kind of like a wearable case you can clip onto your kind of person and then have visual input as well to your AirPods, I think that could be very beneficial moving forward. Again, kind of like Apple's Humane Pin, but built into the AirPods. Let's see how that goes. And then lastly, to round off the year, I do believe Apple's going to finally give us an iPad mini with an OLED display. Now, I don't think it's going to have the 120Hz ProMotion, but I do believe it's going to be OLED, still 60Hz. It's going to be the A20 Pro chip built in there, and it's going to be the best kind of update to the mini that we've ever seen. It's not going to get quite to that iPad mini Pro that people want, but I do believe it's going to get a lot closer and it's going to be a much more powerful device moving forward. And then lastly, I do believe Apple's going to be redesigning the MacBook Pro at the end of 2026, making it thinner, making it faster, putting the M6 chip in there like they did last year with the M5 Pro. But I do believe the chassis is going to get an overall redesign because with these M chips getting so efficient and so powerful, I don't think we need that big chassis for the battery anymore because they're going to be very efficient, giving us those 18 to 20 hour battery lives, even while decreasing the battery size. But leave a comment down below, would you rather have a bigger battery or a thinner chassis for the MacBook Pro? So 2026 for Apple is going to be a big deal. It's going to be more so about direction versus the specs that they increase. Of course, Apple's going to be implementing all the different M series chips. Everything's going to get more efficient, more powerful, better battery life, better build quality. You know, everything's going to just be better overall, of course, because it's going to be the next iteration of all these different models of kind of hardware. But at the end of the day, Apple's going to be making AI a much more useful product, in my opinion. Apple Intelligence is going to kind of creep its way into your world, but very differently to the Geminis and the ChatGPTs of the world, where those are really just assistant chatbots where I'm speaking to them, I'm giving them data, I'm giving them information. then they're answering back with more information for me to kind of take in, versus Apple Intelligence is going to be more so just more helpful in your day-to-day life when it comes to organizing your calendar, to-do lists, reminders, kind of a Siri assistant, controlling your home, being a lot more automated and smart so you don't have to think about doing things, versus the chatbot kind of being a different product category in my opinion. But that's everything to expect in 2026, everybody. Let me know in the comment down below what you think. Are you excited for 2026 in the Apple world? Do you think Apple's kind of getting a little bit stagnant and kind of resting on their laurels? I'm very excited for the iPhone Fold this year, as well as a new kind of iPad mini to be released. I wonder if Apple's going to do anything with the Apple Vision Pro in terms of a different form factor or kind of category from a price standpoint. Always curious to know your thoughts on everything moving forward, but that'll do it for this video. Like I said, subscribe to the channel if you want more videos like this one and help us get to 1 million this year. Hopefully we'll get there, but that'll do it, everybody. If you made it to the end, leave a little dolphin, and if you guys want to watch more videos like this one, check out one of these videos right here. Until next time, I'm Fernando. Peace, everyone.